All right, growing up I had a friend named Chuck. From elementary school all through high school, though we sort of grew apart as we got older, but we were into the same kind of things. We lived right around the corner. We were in Cub Scouts together. We both had Commodore 64s. So we used to hang out and play computer games and Stratego and other nerdy things. And so we used to hang out a lot, but we both also had very sharp, sarcastic, smart-ass senses of humor. And I always thought, I may be biased, but I always thought mine was more defensive and his tended to be more offensive. Case in point, when we were 16, though by this time we sort of grew apart, but we were still friends, neither of us owned a car. And we had a mutual friend named Zach who had just gotten a car, and we both were told we could get rides home from him this one particular day in school. Unfortunately, we had both separately told other people they could also have a ride. And the problem was when we all arrived at his car at the end of school to ride home, we had 6 people trying to fit into a very small 5-seater. One of these people happened to be my then new-ish girlfriend, who I'd only been dating for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I say the word dating very loosely because as a teenager I was so painfully shy, I was basically afraid to touch a female. At any point in time, we had yet to ever remotely think about kissing. We may have held hands. So when somebody suggested the solution to our problem, she sat on my lap, we both started to kind of hyperventilate a little. She was just as painfully shy as I was, though I learned later that she really wanted me to rip her clothes off, which would have been good to know. So we got into position, and of course I could tell she was embarrassed, but all I was thinking was, I just got legal clearance to touch her ass with my crotch. And this was something I had no chance of doing on my own, so this was a good opportunity for me. I don't know what she was thinking. So we got into position. I was quite comfortable. Before we even got out of the school parking lot, Chuck says as loud as possibly can to everybody in the car, "Hey Sarah, watch out for that pencil in Chris's pocket." And everybody laughed hysterically except me, and I mean everybody, much to my dismay. So I was too flustered, I couldn't think of anything in reply, and there's nothing I could say that was justifiably evil enough anyway, and I'm a very non-confrontational, non-aggressive person, but the more I let things eat at me, I can hold a grudge for decades. I have a very soft spot for useless payback. So over time, I got angrier and angrier, and I developed a very twisted, non-violent plan for revenge. It was a two-pronged attack, and I sort of remember a lot of stuff that happened. I was 16, it was very vivid in my mind, but of course, nothing brings back memories quite like the top-secret plans that you had hidden in your parents' basement that you found when you were 35 and you wrote them down when you were 16. This is the Foundation of Forces Against Chuck, the top-secret plans of the FFAC. This is Chuck with a circle and a slash. He had this sort of Jerry Curlish white man afro thing going on. So the first part was called Operation Clark Street Storm, because that's where he lived. This was a very elaborate vandalism plan. It involved shaving cream and soap and toilet paper and a bag of dog shit and saran wrap, things like that. I had intelligence reports, code names, code words. I was Jordan, there was Exile, Gator, Mr. Irreverence, and the Godfather. These were my co-conspirators. It sort of fell apart because all my cohorts kind of backed off and punked out, but it sort of did happen with me and another guy and a couple bags of toilet paper. That's pretty much it. The second part of my plan was postal. I just dropped my other plan. Okay. So, you know the subscription cards that you see in every magazine that you can just fill out and send in? I got the bright idea to send about 10 of these in and sign Chuck up for magazines, which is highly illegal and I would advise against it. But I signed him up for Teen Magazine, Modern Romance, Fur Fishing Game, to name a few. I have them written down in the dates I sent in the subscription cards. It was deemed relatively successful because I wrote down A+, call from mommy when his mom called to complain. So I thought I was done, job well done. I finished what he started. So I thought until July 7th, 1991, I received my first issue of Sassy Magazine, which I thought was retaliation on his part, though I never really confirmed it. But the very next day, I subscribed him to Playgirl. And since there was a lag time in that, I also took an old issue of Playboy that I had laying around. That's a long story, about 16-inch. Cut out all the naked pictures except for the centerfold, and then I cut out his headshots from our junior high yearbook, pasted them over the girly parts, and anonymously sent it in the mail to his house in an envelope with my father's company's address on it. Which was apparently the last straw. He showed up at my house the next day, looking very nervous and anxious, and told me he was there to call a truce before his mom called the cops. Which was fine with me. I'm like, okay, we're done. I don't think he ever really apologized for what he started, though. So we called a truce, and you know, we graduated the next year, and I haven't seen him since. It's been almost 20 years. I look him up online all the time, and I can't find any contact information for him. He was a very good artist. He could draw the shit out of anything, and for all I know, he could have been working for Disney. He was very, very good. And I always wondered what he ended up doing, but I can't find him. So, Chuck, if you see this, please find me. Hindsight is giving me a little perspective, and I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, but you still owe me an apology.